Welcome to a new session, and in this session what we are going to see is, let's say you have a machine, a Linux instance which you have configured, with a lot of application. Let's say in your organization, or within your environment, you have, let's say 5 set of applications that needs to be run every time that the machine is booted and it's up and running. So let's say if you want to create multiple other machines, what you would have to do is you have to go and probably you write a script and bootstrap it every time uh, a new machine is spun up. That is one option. On the contrary, let's say you can have a customized operating system developed for your own environment, and whenever you want to go and deploy that environment, instead of going and creating a instance and then deploying all those applications manually step by step, we can go and have all the applications pre-installed. Let's take a snapshot, create an Amazon image, a custom Amazon image, and we can deploy it across multiple regions, or the snapshot has to be copied to the region, and from there we can create another image. And so let's see how to do that in this particular session. All right, so the first task is, I have an instance already running. Okay, so within this instance I have let me check if there is HTTPD running there. All right, HTTPD service is not available on this machine at the moment. Okay, so first step, let me do is, let me install HTTP. Okay, that will be pretty quick. And yes, now the HTTPD service is running. Is being installed. Okay, let me go and start the HTTPD service. Good. Let's check on the status. It is active and running. So what is the next step? We have to enable it, right? Good. So which means that every time the machine is rebooted, we will have the HTTPD service start along with it. What is the next step that we need? We need to open the ports 80 and 443 for the communication to happen, right? So for that we need to have the first step is to have a security group created for that. Let me go ahead and create a security group and assign it to this server. So let me create a security group, and I'll call this as web server SG. Okay, yes. And what are the inbound rules I need to allow? I need to allow HTTP and HTTPS from anywhere, right? So I'll add IPv6 also. Or I'll just leave it for IPv4 now. Okay, so you know how to set up the IPv6 also. So HTTPS, and I'll say anywhere IPv4 for now. And outbound rules are all traffic always. So I'm going to create the security group. Yes, so the security group is already created now. So what I can do is, I can go and assign this new security group to the instance under security, change security groups, and I have to go and add the web server security group, and let me save it. So now the web server security group is available. So let me try to access the server from outside. Just give it a minute there. So yes, it's already assigned. Let's check on that once again, if the instance has the security group assigned correctly. Yes, it is not assigned correctly. Let me go and do it again. Change security groups. So I have to add web server security group, add security group, and then save. Probably I missed this add security, So that is the reason. Yeah, now it has been changed successfully. So I have the web server security group. And so now let me try to access it, and I can see the Apache test page successfully, which means my web server is running successfully and fine. So now I have a configuration and setup, which means that imagine, let's say you have we'll be doing this auto scaling, where we will need a very similar kind of a configuration. All right. But for now, remember, we have a setup which is running successfully and error free, and everything is fine up to now. So what we are going to do right now is, let's go and keep this environment, and let's go and create a image out of this environment. Okay, to do that, what we have to do is the best method. Yeah, there are many other options or many ways of doing the same task, but what we are going to do is we are going to go and check on the volumes. Okay, so we know which is the volume, the root volume which is associated with the machine, and we can find it from here. So click on storage, and we should see this is the root volume, right? XVDA is the root volume, and D7CF3, right? So let's go to D7CF3 here. Let's first create a snapshot. Okay, so now let me call it as HTTP config, or let me call it as web server config. Okay, so I've already configured the web server, right? So that's why I'm calling it as the web server config. And if you want to add tags, you can add there. Let me create the snapshot now. So it's telling successfully created snapshot and the from volume ID. Okay, now let me go and check on the snapshots. The snapshot will be getting created now, and depending upon the size of your volume from which you're going to create the snapshot, it's going to take a while. All right, so smaller volumes take a very little time, larger volumes take a lot of time to have the snapshot completely created. So we can still see that the snapshot status is pending and the progress is unavailable. All right, so we'll have to wait until the progress is completed. Okay, that was quick, and it is now available. All right, and the snapshot status is ready. So what we can do right now is we can go and create a image from the snapshot. Remember, the first step was to create the snapshot from the volume, and the next step is to create image from the snapshot. Okay, I'll call this as web server image. Okay, I'll put in the description as the same. Architecture, I'll leave it as x86-64. The default root device name, I will leave it as SDA1, and I have the option to choose whether this is going to go into a HVM or para virtual. I will leave it at HVM only, and all other ones, just leave it as default. Okay, don't change them. And here, boot device mapping. So this will be the standard settings which you will get when the AMI is assigned to a instance. All right, so you'll be getting all this. If I'm going to uncheck this deletion on termination, so when I'm going to use that AMI, that will also be reflected there, and the deletion on termination will not be enabled automatically. So you'll have to go and enable it manually. So let's just leave it there. All right, and let's go and create a image. All right, so it's telling me successfully requested new image AMI ID, and where can I see that? I can go to the AMIs. Okay, so the AMI is available. So here you have to remember that this AMI was built on the snapshot, which means that the snapshot on which this AMI is built, they are interdependent on each other, right? So, or I would say rather than interdependent, the AMI is dependent on the snapshot, which means that as long as you need the AMI, you have to maintain the snapshot. And if you're deleting the snapshot, the AMI is also gone. So you cannot delete the snapshot. Remember this. All right. So let me go back here and let me check on the snapshots. And we have the snapshot. Okay. And we have the AMI ID also. Good. Now that we have created the AMI, let us go and deploy this image. Okay, let's see if what we did is working successfully. Okay, all right, let me close the other one. Let me close the volumes also. We don't need to set a moment. This also we'll close it. So we'll go and we'll go and launch a new instance. Now, when you're creating when you're launching a new instance, okay, instead of using the quick start, click on my AMIs and you see your web server image which was created by you. All right, so you see the owner here. So the root device type is EBS, virtualization type is HVM, and the owner is you. All right, and it is for the 64-bit x86 architecture. Let's click on select and let's use the T2 micro, configure instance details. We don't want to change anything here. Let's just leave it as it is. All right, let's add storage. Okay, let's keep it as 8 GB. Next, add tags. What if you see here the snapshot here? You just notice the snapshot here. Just a moment there. We go back to the management console. Let me go to the snapshots. If you closely watch this, you know the snapshot here, it is saying this root device is built on the snapshot of this one. So the snapshot you see here, C69BE. All right, so it is built on the same. It is not just your instance or your AMI. All the AMIs within the AWS have a very similar setup. So every time you you start up with a root device, if you check there, you will see that there is a snapshot associated with that, but that snapshot is maintained by the Amazon. Okay, it's not maintained by us. All right, so now that we have come up to this point, see now the deletion on termination is automatically checked. If I uncheck there, it would be unchecked here also. Next, let me click on add tags. Now comes the most important part. Okay, so I want to select the existing security group. So this is going to be a web server, right? So I need to have the SSH open as well as the ATN 443 open. Okay, let me just check on that. I can see that's ATN 443 here, but 22 is not seen. Anyway, we'll proceed and we'll check with that later. Okay, now everything is set. Okay, so if I want to use the same key pair, yes, I'll use the same key pair. And now the instance is being launched. Okay, so as the instance is being launched, let me go and also make sure the security groups being associated with the specific instance are right. So I have web server SG. Yeah, it is. I can see it is getting reflected correctly here. Port number 22, port number 80, and port number 443. All the three ports are open for this specific instance. All right, let me copy this and let me check it out. If the instance was deployed successful, then you should see a test page. Why am I seeing the test page? Because the image from which I created, I already had the HTTP configured correctly to work as a web server. And this is how you are going to create a AMI image from your existing server, which is already been configured with your applications. Thank you very much for watching this session, and I'll see you in the next session.